Hello, Internet. It is I, Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today, we're going to be talking about A Complete Unknown. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it. Pros. So, we got Timothy Chalamet as Bob Dylan. So, we have to talk about him. So, Timothy Chalamet, he's been around for a few years. Apparently made his debut in Interstellar. I completely forgot about that. It's also in Lady Bird and Call Me by Your Name, a movie that the premise is just a bit of a yikes. In hindsight. Then he was in Little Women, and then Dune was like his first time being part of like a big brand, a big franchise movie. And Dune, with HBO Max experiment and all, still made money at the end of the day, which resulted in the sequel, Dune Part Two. But so Timothy Chalamet, he's been doing great recently. Wonka came out last year. It was like the only movie in December last year to really pop at the box office. Everything else ranged from like okay to terrible. Well, anyone but you end up being a big old sleeper hit. But yeah, last December was not great, and Wonka was like the movie that like shined the brightest. And Doom Part Two, when it came out earlier this year, it was like deemed as the box office savior because the beginning of the year was so trash. It was so terrible. And Doom Part 2 was like the biggest movie of 2024 for a long time. That didn't change till Inside Out 2 released. So yeah, Timothy Chalamet, I mean, everyone knows who he is now. So yeah, and I imagine like he has a following, he has a fan base. I imagine even if like a decent, like even like a small amount of his fans go to see this movie, then that means good things for this thing. So I say Timothy Chalamet's presence, I would label that as a pro, absolute pro. We also have more people here. There's Elle Fanning, who's Dakota Fanning's sister. She's been quite a number of movies. Uh, duh, duh, duh. Because of When Dixie, God, that's an old movie. um, well, most of these like the Nutcracker in 3D. Oh my god, that movie is crazy. That movie, I remember seeing like a review of it. This was like I saw like a Nostalgia Critic review of it like a long time ago, and that movie, I couldn't believe what I was watching. If you never heard Nutcracker in 3D, please watch a review of it because that movie is fucking insane. um, so there's Super 8, there's We Bought a Zoo, Maleficent, and Maleficent 2, right? Yeah, both Maleficent movies, where she was basically Sleeping Beauty in both of them. Uh, Not much after that really. But I say she's gonna be in Predator Badlands next year, so there's uh what else do we got? Edward Norton, Tyler Durden. I'm using well, that's a massive spoiler. Sorry, I spoiled a 25-year-old movie. My bad. Was it narrator? Because his character doesn't have like a name for like the large portion of the movie. That's why it says that. And Edward Norton's been in a lot of movies. The American History X. That's a rather controversial one, but also a very good movie. Fight Club. That's a classic, even though it wasn't a hit when it first came out. Let's see. There's Red Dragon. There's Italian Job. Illusionist. The Incredible Hulk. The original MCU Hulk, but things just didn't work out, and he was replaced by Mark Ruffalo. Uh, let's see. There's Moonrise Kingdom. This dude's been in a lot of Wes Anderson flicks. So I just want to mention that, like Moonrise Kingdom, and Grand Budapest Hotel, and Isle of Dogs, and French Dispatch, and Asteroid City. So he collaborates with Wes Anderson a lot. There's Born Legacy, the Born movie no one likes to think about ever. Birdman, where the dude played an absolute dickhead in that movie. A low key villain in that flick, but he still did a great job. Birdman's a fantastic movie. Collateral Beauty, that's I remember watching a review of that. What the trailer showed and what the movie is are two different things completely, and I was just like floored by what the movie actually was. Like I was just like, what the hell is this thing? So yeah, I maybe I'll watch Collateral Beauty just for the shock value, but you know, Motherless Brooklyn, no one watched that. Glass Onion, that's a Netflix movie, so I can't comment on that. Yeah, we got Edward Norton. Who else do we have? Who else is like super relevant? This Monica Barbaro, I think that's how you say her name. I know I got it wrong. Apparently she was in Top Gun Maverick, not much else, so she probably maybe she's done like some TV stuff that I'm just not aware of. Scoot McNairy, and mainly like a supporting actor type guy. Was he in Batman v Superman? He was? Huh. Okay. um Barrow's in Gone Girl too. Alright. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But I don't know his face. Like I can't yeah, I don't know what he looks like. Uh Oh, Johnny Cash. Someone plays Johnny Cash in this movie. Okay. But yeah, I guess who else is there? Dan Fogler. I remember him. I first remember from fucking Balls of Fury. That's a stupid movie that young me loved because young me had no standards whatsoever. But it's like a dumb, like a fun, dumb movie in a way. Good Luck Chuck, I've heard is just absolute trash. It's awful. I don't want to ever watch that. Uh, there's Free Birds, the movie where turkeys go back in time to stop the first Thanksgiving to take turkeys off the menu. That movie. He was in the Fantastic Beast movies. He's considered like one of the better aspects of those movies. Um, Not much else after that, really. So yeah, we definitely got some recognizable names in this thing. So I will label that as a pro. Another pro is a director of this thing, James Mangold. This dude has quite the interesting resume, to say the least. I mean, I don't know much about Heavy. Copland, I don't know much about that. I know Girl Interrupted, I know is a bit of a classic nowadays. It's Kate and Leopold. I don't think anyone really remembers that. It's Identity, which did Walk the Line, which was about, Johnny Cash, portrayed by Joaquin Phoenix. That was a big hit, big Oscar movie. There's 310 to Yuma. I know that was received well. Night and Day was kind of just a movie that existed. Then he directed The Wolverine, which a movie people really liked until like the final act, and that kind of turned people off. Logan, fucking classic, absolute classic. That movie is. Ford v Ferrari, a movie I probably should watch at some point. I heard it was really good. And his most recent movie was Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny, which I already made a mention in the Baby Girl video, was a total flop and is a movie that we should all forget as a society. So, yeah, James Mangold, his track record is kind of interesting, but he has had a lot of hits, a lot of, highly regarded flicks. So I will label his presence as a pro, his name as a pro. Another pro is that reviews for this movie are pretty good. 78%. That's rock solid. I have an audience score for this thing. It's a 98%, which is the ideal score you want to have for a movie like this. So, and not to mention the real Bob Dylan, basically gave this movie his seal of approval. So, there you go. So, reviews across the board, critic reviews, audience scores, all of that is really good. So, that's a pro. Another pro is that this has like the second most amount of buzz out of the Christmas movies. The only one that's higher is Nosferatu, and this movie not only has also has Oscar attention. I imagine Timothy Chalamet, people are gonna be like, well, he's probably gonna get nominated for an Oscar or something. So yeah, there's a bit of awards talk surrounding this thing. So that will definitely help it. So I'll label that as a pro. And not to mention, it's Christmas time. The box office tends to really pop around this time of the year, like the last stretch of 20 of the year. The box office is like way higher than it normally is. So that'll obviously help this movie's numbers. And it being like an adult flick, I imagine its legs will be rather long. So I'll label that as a pro as well. And not to mention, there's a movie about Bob Dylan. I don't know that much about Bob Dylan, really. I mean, it's definitely not from like, it's definitely way before my time. But, I've heard of like Bob Dylan's, I've heard the name of Bob Dylan. And let's see, the times they are a change. I think that was in the montage of Watchmen, wasn't it? That big old montage in Watchmen where it's going through like all decades. I think that's what it was. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's see. Blowing in the Wind. When has that been used? I might recognize it if it's been used like in other things. Let me see. Uh, Apparently, it was used in Forrest Gump. Yeah. But I know, the times they are changing. I know that one. Um. Yeah. Um. But yeah, Bob Dylan. Imagine a lot of people know his music, and a decent amount of people are probably gonna be interested in like his story, at least a younger version of him. So yeah, I guess Bob Dylan's name and the fact that he himself is given this movie a seal of approval, I'll label his name as a pro. But now on the cons. One thing that kind of I thought could be a potential issue is the fact that Bob Dylan is like old. I don't think I need to tell you that, but his music is quite old. The amount of the songs are like from the '60s, right? So you're gonna have like an older audience out of the gate. But you have Timothy Chalamet playing him, and Timothy Chalamet, like, he attracts like the Gen Z crowd, right? So, and I'm pretty sure, if you were to do a Venn diagram of Timothy Chalamet fans and Bob Dylan fans, those two circles would be nowhere near each other. So you kind of have two different audiences, and can you get them both? Like, I don't know, but so there might be like a bit of an audience issue going on, like because this movie's going after basically two different audiences at once. So that could be a problem, but maybe that's just me. So that's kind of like a con, at least what I think is a con. What is really going to be a con is the fact that this movie's coming out the same day as three other adult movies, and it's not even the most hyped of the bunch. The most hyped is Nosferatu, but not to mention it's just competition all over the place, mainly family movie competition. As you probably noticed, Sonic 3, Mufasa, Wicked, Moana 2, those are like the top four, and everything else is like several steps below it. Um, See, that's a lot of movies to deal with at once, and there's only so many screens. So yeah, just general competition will is going to be a con. And I think that's it, really. Yeah. Yeah. So opening weekend, we got to do 3 day and 5 day. The 3 day, mm, it's projected to hit like 15 million for like the 5 day period. It could go a lot higher than that, judging by word of mouth. But then again, I thought word of mouth would really help Color Purple, and it ended up being a huge bomb. So, I need to be careful. So, I can't be too optimistic, but I don't want to be too pessimistic either. So I'm gonna say it's 5 day. It's a lucky. I think it'll shoot past 15. Maybe 20 to 25 million for 5 day, and then for its 3 day, maybe like um mm, 15 million, I think. Maybe 10 to 15 million for 3 day, and then its total. Mm, 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 hmm. Uh, Shoot. It could have a long life. I don't know if it'll hit 100 million, but I think it could have a long life. So I'm gonna say 60 to 80 million final total. And that's it for Complete Unknown. Okay, we're halfway done. Two more to go. Fire Inside and Nosferatu, and then we'll be done for 2024. So yeah, stay tuned for those videos. But yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. You want to check out more videos like this? I got playlists on the homepage. All previous prediction videos I made this year, in the past few years. Want to watch any of them? Go right ahead. There's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. Did November recap. December recap will be around the second week of January. And then after that, I'll make my two-part 2024 recap, going over the winners and losers. So stay tuned for those videos. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I made on the channel, you can go right ahead. It's also the Canceled series, 250 episodes. Never talked about Complete Unknown, so yeah. But you want to binge watch all the episodes of that series, go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.